From the earliest, most primitive piece of rock to the most sophisticated supercomputer or modern aircraft, humans have been using tools to solve problems since prehistoric times.
When people hear innovation, they automatically think of complex high-tech inventions. But that's not always the case. As humans, we solve problems every day. Let's say you've cooked a meal, and even though you have a plate, you have nothing to eat or serve it with. If I can provide you with a spoon or a ladle of any kind, I have solved your problem without being a programmer or a big scientist. It's that simple. Innovation is about creating solutions to problems, no matter how trivial.
This simple yet insightful approach is Moses' guiding philosophy to problem solving, and one that has served him well over the years.
I've always been passionate about solving problems as far back as I can remember. I'm just a firm believer in our ability to provide solutions, however simple and in whichever environment we are in. You know, you don't have to always look to the Western world to invent something and bring it in Africa. We can do this on our own, and the knowledge is there, the ability is there for everyone to do that.
Moses Mwansa is a project management specialist, innovator, and tech enthusiast. He is co-founder and CEO of Village Savers Technology Limited, a fintech company that promotes financial inclusion in low-income communities through the Village Savers Savings app, and also provides an e-commerce platform for small-scale cross-border traders in Zambia. He is passionate about financial inclusion, sustainable development, and climate change.
Village Savers is a web application, and it provides two solutions. So the first part is the savings platform, which provides a digital and automated system for informal savings group. So, you know, in our communities, we've got a section of the community where we have unbanked, you know, people that have no bank account, and then they can't access financial services. So they form groups, which we call here village banking groups. In our local language, we call them Chidimba. So these groups, they pull their resources together, maybe monthly or weekly, and then they lend to each other, and that is a source of capital to them. So because they were using physical records, like recording in books, we came up with a solution to help them digitize, get those records and put them on a digital platform, so that, you know, in terms of human error, we eliminate that. There is transparency because everyone in the group are able to access the records, and also there is trust because a system can automatically calculate how much one has saved and how much interest one has made in a cycle, which is a period of 1 year. Then the second part is an e-commerce platform. We call it the marketplace. So this came about because of the challenges that were brought by COVID-19. So people mostly in the borderland centers who rely on crossing the border, you know, every time to sell or buy goods, they were, you know, affected by COVID-19 because of travel restrictions and travel bans, and also high cost of obtaining the tests for COVID, for instance. So there were these barriers that prevented them from crossing the border and do business as they do normally. So we created a platform where they could buy and sell without physically moving across the border. So that is the second part.
Informal cross-border trade is a major feature of Africa's economic and social landscape. In Zambia, thousands of traders cross the country's borders every day, bringing revenue from the informal trade of beans, maize, and rice. Cross-border trade is also essential for reducing poverty, since the poor, including many women, are intensely engaged in informal production and trading of goods and services. But, despite its benefits, conducting cross-border transactions remains a tough business for small traders.
There are conditions whereby the Tanzanian can have shops in Zambia. You as Zambian, we can't have shop there, which is not fair to us. If we can have equal chances, that can be fine, but it's not happening here in Nakonde.
So it all started about 23 years ago when I was a kid. I visited my aunt. My aunt was a widow. The husband died, and then he left 3 kids, and my aunt was looking after these 3 kids. My aunt was a marketeer. These people who sell merchandise in makeshift markets. So she was selling vegetables, and here we have dry fish called carpenter, small fish. And she was struggling to raise the kids until she was introduced to the concept of group savings by a friend. So a friend belonged to a group which was saving, and then they were accessing funding like that. When my aunt joined, she was also able to access some funding to boost her business.
Informal saving groups like this are very common in the trading community across Africa.
It's called Chilimba here in Zambia. In Ghana, it's called Susu. Tontine in Zimbabwe, Ajo in Nigeria, and so on. But generally works the same way. In this group, she and her fellow marketeers started saving small amounts of money and lending to each other in order to boost their capital. This model worked very well for my aunt, as she was able to raise enough to finance her business, start making profits, and later manage to pay for her children's school fees.
But unregulated, unsupervised arrangements like this can easily go left very quickly.
But all these innovations, when they come with their own challenges. My aunt's group also had challenges. So she used to come home and complain about, how she didn't expect to get maybe a certain amount of interest, or how the administrator or the secretary to the group did not write the figures correctly. So she was complaining while she was benefiting, but she had all these complaints. So I promised her that I was going to come up with a system that would help her automatically calculate, and also help maybe the secretary of their group not to commit errors, or all those things. So fast forward to 2020, after I'd gone my own life, I was doing some other things. It just clicked and came back to me to say, look, there are a lot of people in Africa that are like my aunt. They are still going through the problems that my aunt were going through. Actually, in Zambia, we have over 50,000 savings groups like that of my aunt. They come from a section of banked communities. They can't have a formal bank account, so they rely on the same informal savings to get a capital to supplement their businesses. So we came up with the village savers system, which a concept came from the problems that my aunt were going through. And I have to mention that those problems are the same from 25 years ago, 23 years ago to date. They're still going through the same, especially rural areas and low-income communities. So that's how we came up with the village savers. And we started working with a lot of people, especially in the borderland communities. And so they were saving and were helping them with the digital tools, and they were improving in terms of their trade until, again, COVID came. So when COVID came, their normal way of doing business was also disrupted because they couldn't cross the borders normally, they couldn't buy goods and bring them physically. So it was difficult for them to do their normal trade. So we came up with what we are calling a marketplace, which is an e-commerce platform where cross-border traders can buy and sell goods without having to cross the border. And so we created for them, and we helped a lot of cross-border traders, especially in the Livingstone and Victoria Falls borderland community in Zambia and Zimbabwe respectively.
24 years later, that promise has been fulfilled with the Village Savers app.
So the people in the borderland communities can actually benefit a lot from our Village Savers I can say in two ways. So the first one, most of these informal traders who cross the border to buy and sell goods, they've got small capital. And most of them, like I was saying, they are unbanked, meaning they can't have a formal bank account. So through the Village Savers model, they can form a group and use our digital platform to manage their informal savings group. Like that, they'll be able to access financial services or funding that can boost their businesses, and then they can improve and grow their businesses. That's the first part. The second part, our e-commerce platform, it actually beneficial to them in many ways. One, they don't have to spend transport to cross the border to go and buy. When they can buy online and just get their goods or on a transporter who can bring straight to their shop. Like that, one, it's safe because in these borderland communities, especially for those people that go to South Africa, we have been hearing of people being attacked, people losing money, people losing their goods. So when they order online and then there's a transporter that brings their good, one, they are saving money, they are protecting themselves against things like losing goods or money being stolen. So I think the Village Savers app provides a lot of benefits to the people in the borderland communities. As we started this innovation journey, we were not without challenges. So we've faced a lot of challenges to the users or beneficiaries themselves, and also from our side. So in terms of the beneficiaries, one, I think one of the biggest challenges is maybe language barrier, and also the other language is the digital knowledge. So if we introduce a solution which is maybe digital, most of the people are not digitally informed, so they tend to struggle to transition from what they know to the new things that we are providing them. That is one. The second one, also, there's a lot of mistrust among, especially in the savings groups, because they feel if they use the digital platform, they will lose money or they will lose. So we've had to do a lot of financial literacy trainings, digital security, where we take them through the system and show them that it's actually here to help them and not to disadvantage them. We've gone further to do a lot of sensitization campaigns like road shows, especially among the cross-border trader community, where we show them how maybe their fellow cross-border trader benefited from the system, bought goods without crossing the border, and then they saved a lot of money through that process. And we've had successes in terms of mitigating these challenges coming from the the innovations that we are proposing. So we actually have big plans for the future with village savers. The success that we've recorded here in Zambia and a bit in the border across Zimbabwe are immense. They actually demonstrate that a lot of people can benefit from our solution. So the immediate steps that we want to take is to scale this innovation, to scale to other parts of, we'll start with Southern Africa first. We want to take it to our neighboring countries, and we want to also extend it maybe to South Africa, because that's where most of our cross-border traders get their goods. So ultimately, we want to take it to the whole sub-Saharan Africa, so that a lot of, unbanked communities or cross-border traders like these we are helping in Zambia can also benefit and improve their livelihoods. Right now, I think a bit of a challenge that we have is capital. For us to be able to do all these, we need to find, for instance, equity partners who would want to invest in our company, so that we can onboard a lot of groups. Like I said, in Zambia we have over 50,000 groups. So we want all those groups to be on our platform. In Zimbabwe, there are a lot of groups, in Botswana and other African countries that would want or benefit when they use our platform. So we want equity partners and other funders who would want to get on board and help all these cross-border traders. If I had unlimited access to financing, I think I would spend time, or I would start a campaign to promote financial inclusion among marginalized communities, especially in the borderlands, because these are the drivers of our economy. And I would just go flat out across Africa, helping these people, especially women and youths who are in these areas, especially the low-income communities, the borderland communities, the unbanked communities. Yeah, so I think that's what I would do. I would just go flat out and help people who are financially excluded to get also on board and be part of the greater population.
And I strongly believe that this is something we will accomplish, one simple solution at a time.